already did the pledge. We did the pledge earlier, folks.
We did. That wasn't at 12 o'clock. Can we do it again for the?
You want to do it? You're up. You're in charge.
You're doing it. Okay.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, remain standing and bow your heads for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooley.
I think we're good.
Okay, you guys get to come on a December board meeting, and we get to do something special today.
Yeah, we do.
I believe it's. I need a motion right first. There's a motion. There's a motion. Okay,
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I know. I've got to.
I know, but there's a motion listed here, so I just need to know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you're in charge of the buttons.
Yay.
Okay. So I take it at 7.1? Is that where we're at?
You're at 7 point.
Okay, so I have to ask myself, is there a report out of closed session? No, there's no report out of closed session tonight, Dr. Greenberg. Well, thank you. Okay.
It's not even listed as 7.1 here. It's not even listed as 7.1 here.
Oh, it's listed here. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. All right, I'm going to use yours.
Okay.
We have to do this annually. We have to do an election of officers for the governing board. And so I get to actually take the gavel for a very short period of time and say that nominations are now open for the office of president of the governing board of the Paris Union High School District.
I nominate. I nominate David Ellison.
Okay, Mr. We have a first and a second for Mr. Nelson. Are there any other nominations?
I move for nominations to be closed.
Okay, there's motion to move for the nominations to be closed. We first have to vote on that motion.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, we don't need to vote on that?
On the final one.
Okay, all right. So there's a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. David Nelson as the governing board of the Paris Union High School District for 2015-16. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have the president continues in office. Mr. David Nelson, congratulations. And
Now I can put
the
this
gavel's
down.
back at your
Okay.
side. I'm no longer.
Thank you very much. And do we need a vote on the machines as well, since we just did it live?
Yes, you have to go ahead and.
Okay.
Put your Ed was the.
Ed was the motion, Joan was the second. Okay, please vote again.
Legally.
Vote again.
This thing is not working. Okay, there we go.
And Carolyn's not here, so. Okay, and so she'll abstain.
She's
Okay.
absent.
Well, I was going to do that when we closed this down. I was going to leave her as absent next time. When we went to CMI, I was going to leave her as absent. Okay, so do we have a motion for a vice president? Do I have a nomination?
Yes, I would like to nominate Ed Agundis then as vice president.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Hold on. There we go. Any other nominations at all? No? Okay, so we have Joan and Jose for the election of Ed Agundez for vice president. Please vote. And again, Carolyn will abstain.
We'll change that.
Yeah. How are we going to see the results? That's the question.
You won't see the results.
Because you haven't marked drafts.
I know, but
It's okay,
I-
just go ahead.
We'll do a voice vote.
It's for
4-0. Okay, 4-0-1. Okay, so there. Thank you. And do we have nominations for the office of clerk?
I nominate Joan Cooley.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Nope. Okay, please vote. Okay. Do we have the results down there right now? 4-0-1 again. Okay, so Joan stays on as clerk. Ed stays on as vice president.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See, we have to, can't assume a decision by the governing board. This is democracy.
Okay, the election of the representative to the county committee on school district organization. I believe, Dr. Rouse, you were the member last year.
Nominate Dr. Lucero.
A second.
Okay, so I have first and a second. Do I have any other nominations? Okay, please vote. Is it 4-0-1 again? Okay, so Dr. Rouse, you will continue on as the representative to the county committee on school district organization.
Jose.
Okay. Action item on the regular board meetings, the selection of the day, time, and location of regular meetings. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Are there any questions about the board meeting calendar?
I have one question of Mrs. Ortel. I didn't look at this item very carefully. Apologize. Does this include the Agundez amendment that there not be a July board meeting? Is that correct? Still in?
It's July, no meeting.
Okay.
Does anybody want to change?
That will always be known as the Agundez
Does anybody
corollary.
want to change that this year?
And come in January,
No.
July.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of
Please,
happy people back in the road there.
please vote. Again, 4-0-1. Okay, thank you. The appointment of superintendent as secretary to the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, please vote. I know, hasn't come up yet. There it goes. 4-0-1, okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bear with me here, the computer's slow. I know. There we go. Okay. Certification of signatures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We'll give it to Dr. Rouse. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, please vote. Four zero one. Thank you. Oops, I forgot to take my ringer off. Okay. Okay. Designation of authorized agent. Do I have a motion? Okay. Any questions on this one? No? Please vote. 401 again. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we will now go into recess for the CMI meeting. We will call this, going to recess at 5:12. Yes, the regular board meeting will be going to recess. Oops, hold on. I need to end the meeting first. Yes. Okay. CMI, take care of it off. Okay, the meeting is up, and you may join the CMI meeting. Okay, this meeting is called to order at 5:13. The revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Rouse. Okay, please vote on this. I did. I took her off. It still marks her in red, even though I took her off the roll call. Oh, there we go. Okay. No problem. Put the duck away, please. Okay, student representative to the Board of Trustees, Trustee Cooley, on your screen. Turn your mic on.
CMI student representative Cadet Major Omar Guerra.
Will you guys be able to change the slide?
I will. Let me get that.
Okay, well, I'll start. Good morning. Oh, wait. Alright. Good morning, Dr. Greenberg, Cabinet. Good morning, President Nelson, board members, and fellow guests. Thank you for allowing me to speak before you all today. And as you know, we just came back from Thanksgiving break, so I won't have as many topics as I usually do, but I do have 3 I would like to mention. Next slide, please. Last Friday was our passing review. It was the first passing review of the 2015-2016 school year at CMI, and we had the honor to have Colonel Farmer and some of his staff from the 163rd Reconnaissance Wing to come visit us as a guest of honor. He was really impressed with our passing review formation because he's never seen it, and it's really neat because all 1,100 cadets that we have at school all come out to the football field and do the whole ceremony for him. And we had some fellow cabinet and board members there that were there. They took photos. These are some of Ms. Davis's photos that Mr. Rose was able to provide for me. Next slide, please. And recognizing our teachers and staff, we recognize 4 of our staff and teacher members for their outstanding work as employees and to their contribution to students in our schools. The Teacher of the Year was Allison Miller. She's a U.S. History teacher for our juniors. The Rookie Teacher of the Year, Anthony Maldonado. He's doing really well as a 319th Battalion. 319th Battalion teacher. Our Classified Employee of the Year is Daniel Smith. He's one of our counselors that helps get everything done with students, transcripts for colleges and everything. And our other Classified Rookie of the Year is Helen Freeman, and she's in the head office. Next slide, please. Our robotics team, they've been progressing really well. This weekend on Saturday, they went to Makerspace in Temecula to finish up their robots and their equipment and get everything together for their competition on the following day. And they're really dedicated because for the competition, they had to wake up before 5 a.m. in the morning to catch the bus to go all the way to Monrovia, near LA. And we came in 10th place out of 22 teams. It's not bad, but it's not as best as we could. And we're looking forward to getting closer to first place or at first place the following semester when there's more competitions. And this concludes my presentation for today. Thank you for your time and hope you all have a good Christmas break.
Thank you, Cadet Major. And oral report from CMITA, President Angel Love Behrens. Not here. Did they send anybody else? Nope. Okay. Principal's update, Mr. Rhodes.
I've been told there's a brand new PA system. Let's see how this thing works. Do I stand really close or I stand far? Let me see.
You could stand about 5 miles.
I don't even need it. It's on. Can you hear it?
Yeah, you sound great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening, Dr. Greenberg and Cabinet and President Nelson and Board. I don't have a whole lot to report this time out. I want to talk about a couple of things. Ms. Raines, Mr. Fritz, and Mr. Hector back there came to my school a couple of weeks ago, or on the 1st of December, to do a facilities needs assessment meeting. We also had Mr. Fred Good there with us. That was a great opportunity for parents and students and teachers to kind of talk about where we're at and where we're going. That was the first of several. It went well. Got a lot of positive feedback, and I want to thank you and the two of you for doing that. I appreciate it publicly. Just a couple other quick updates. Right now, as you guys know, a lot of things going on in the Avid world. My Avid team was out Monday and Tuesday, and then my Avid team is out again tomorrow and Friday, getting spun up on new Avid things, so I'm happy about that. We are bringing in, and we're working with Mr. Bennett, bringing in philosophy, drama, Avid 6, Avid 9, coding, PLTW, expansion, Link Crew, and a couple of other G electives, so we're on the move. Today we were fortunate enough to, actually Omar was a part of it, we actually did the SAT field trial today. By his account, it wasn't a whole lot different, but it's a good thing for us for a variety of reasons, one of which is WAS said we should probably do things to help with the SAT, so we went down that road today. I want to thank Mr. Schwartz, Ms. Davis, and Mr. Bennett for coming to the passing review. I know you have a lot of things on your plate. And in the future, I would encourage any of you others to come and see either a change of command or a passing review. And I want to reiterate what Mr. Omar said. It's all kid-led, kid leadership. It's amazing to watch. And the last thing I want to mention is, in working with Ms. Raines, we are working with the City of Paris to do some things facilities-wise with the Bob Glass Gym and them using some. So we're working on some language to facilitate that endeavor as well. And that's all I have. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Information, CMI suspension report for November 2015. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees on agendized and non-agendized items for CMI. Do I have any takers? None. Consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? No? Please vote, please. Thank you. Closed session if necessary. Not necessary. Thank you. Other items by the superintendent?
None.
Thank you. Other items by the Board of Trustees, Dr. Rouse? Ms. Cooley? Mr. Agundes? None for me this month, thank you. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Please vote. you very much. We are adjourned at 5:22. It is now up. You guys may join. I will jump us ahead here. You can join now. Yes, please. Is everyone in? Okay. We have the revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. I believe there were a few changes.
I'd just like to recommend the board that we pull item 12.5 on the calendar, move it to the action calendar. We had a slight change in the legend on it, and we need to approve it correctly. So I would recommend to the board that you pull item 12.5.
I believe we also had another change.
Also, we wanted to move item 16.4 from the agenda. It's an information item on a new course being offered. We were expecting to have an Ed Planning Council meeting last week, which would have been the final approval, and we put it on the agenda to try to work it through, but we didn't have enough people for a quorum. We had too many people away, so we couldn't have that meeting to approve it through our Ed Planning, so we'll move that to next month.
Okay. So moving 12.5 and removing 16.4. Okay. Do I have any other revisions? Do I have a motion? Okay, please vote with the changes. Again, Carolyn's name is in red. I unchecked a box. So. I did. I marked her as absent, yes. Yep, see it. Maybe it was because originally I had her.
Okay, so the vote was
Okay.
401.
So the vote was 401. Okay, thank you. We're gonna have to do this all night then. Okay. Report out of closed session.
There's no report this evening out of closed session, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Information district update by the superintendent.
Well, good evening, everybody, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas. It's Hanukkah right now. Kwanzaa's coming up. Any other holidays, end of the year, it's a festive time for everybody, and I think it's also the students are looking weary, like it's finals time, and can't wait to be off for a while, so it's a great time of the year. I need to tell you, and we don't talk about it enough, it should get better press around, is that we have a Latino family literacy program in the district. They've met 5 times this year under the direction of Charles Tippie, who's here tonight. Is Mr. Tippie here tonight? Oh, there he is. Mr. Tippie, our coordinator in educational services, working for Mr. Bennett. Standing room only crowd each time. Parents are learning all about how to prepare their students for college, how to encourage them to go to college, what they can do in terms of Chromebooks and all the things we give them. And last night they had the pleasure of hearing Dr. Rouse speak to them. And Dr. Rouse spoke and told them the importance of going to college and that it's not a question of if you can, you can. You have to set your mind to it. And I understood enough Spanish to know that it was very well received by the parents. So thank you very much, Dr. Rouse. And thank you, Mr. Tippie, for, like I said, it's a great benefit to our community, and we appreciate that. This afternoon, I got a chance to go to Pentecostal Middle School during Wednesday early release, and today they were doing professional development. It was rather unique. It was put on by the teachers. They had 2 sessions, and it was on Google, all kinds of Google applications that teachers can show other teachers how to do. So in one room, there were 4 teachers, and each had about 5 minutes to present an application or something they're doing in their class. And teachers actually got on their laptops and did it. And it was amazing to see, and the same thing happened in the other room when I went there. I want to highlight the fact that having teacher leadership, teachers teaching teachers how to take the technology that we've given them, which is the most advanced in the county, maybe even the most advanced in the state, and making the changes in the classroom so it changes the way teachers teach and it changes the way students learn is powerful. And I know that's going on other places. I got to get out and go to other places and see that, but I commend the teachers at Pinacati Middle School. Administrators were just visitors watching teachers help each other grow, so it's quite inspiring. There will be a pass and review. I hope I'm not stealing the thunder of the Paloma Valley student. There will be a pass and review for the NJ ROTC program at Paloma Valley High School this Friday night at 6 o'clock on the football field. Of course, and it looks like rain or shine, and it looks like rain. So I want people to know about that. Now, in our school district, it's really rather rare that we get any kind of positive coverage from the press enterprise. I think they think that Paris and Menifee is in the middle of the county, and if it's not happening in Riverside or Temecula or Murrieta, it's just not happening. Moreno Valley gets occasional coverage. Well, we had a wonderful article on Monday, November 30th, in the Life section of the Press Enterprise on the front page, and it talked about the members of the Paris High Dance Group, PhD, Paris High Dance. It's a wonderful article, and I'm going to send it down, and maybe if people in the audience haven't seen it, have a chance to look at it. What it talks about is a teacher who meets with her students at 6:45 in the morning, 3 mornings a week. A dedicated, wonderful teacher, Catherine Perez, and her students show up. These students have not had dance experience. When this happens in other communities, students have dance experience and, they go to private lessons and that sort of thing. But I am so proud. These kids are going out and dancing for the first time and able to compete, which, again, talks about their dedication, their commitment. I mean, to be at school at 6:45 in the morning is pretty hard for a teenager, but again, I really commend Catherine Perez, the team down at Barris High School. They don't get as much publicity for the great things they're doing, but Mr. Hilton, please share how proud we are of them and the work they're doing. Tonight, I want to commend Brian Morris, our Director of Special Education, Coordinator Lynn Braxton, the principals, the teachers. We had a big, massive project over the last month, and that was making sure our special ed individual education programs, the IEPs, were up to date. And thanks to the hard work of all those people, we were able to submit. We still have a little bit of work to do and clean up, but the good news is we're complying with those IEPs, making sure they're improving the educational outcomes for our students and out of the danger of having the state putting us under the microscope. So, Brian, Lynn, please share that with all the people that you work with. Congratulations. Speaking of special education, when Marcy Savage was Director of Special Education and later Assistant Superintendent, Marcy and I think Mr. Agundez lived through a period of time where in special education, if you were not severely handicapped, there was a program called SDC, Special Day Class. And for years, what school districts around the state is just put kids in there who didn't quite fit in the resource program. And what happened to these students is that they really weren't being challenged academically. They weren't really on a diploma track. And so Mrs. Savage said, no, unless you're severely handicapped, you're in a regular classroom with modifications, and we'll have a regular ed teacher there and a special ed teacher there. And that worked for us, we thought, and it did work for most students, but it didn't work for all of our students. And one of our teachers brought to our attention that we weren't offering a continuum of services. And we looked into that, and the teacher was right, and led, again, by Brian and Lynn and others, we implemented an we're going to implement an SAI. It stands for Specialized Academic Instruction. And it's going to be for those students who are so low in their reading and so low in their math that putting them in a regular class, no matter what we do to try to assist them, they can't make it. And I want to really thank PSCA, the leadership of our association, our teachers union. They worked with us to try to make sure at semester, not next year, at semester that we try to implement it. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be messy, and the principals are going to have to change their master schedules, but we're really going to make a good effort to try to meet the needs of those students. And included in that, Tanya Davis has led the effort for making sure that we have the right credentials for these people, because unless you're a special ed teacher with a math credential, you really can't be teaching these students in isolation math. So we have some training that we're going to be able to offer our teachers. It's called VPSS Verification Program for Specialized Settings through the San Diego Office of Education, and we believe our teachers are going to stand up and take that. As soon as they actually enroll in this online program, they're qualified to work with students. And so I know you probably wouldn't hear about this governing board in public, but it's a real tribute to our staff that we could recognize that we needed to fix this problem and not wait until next year and work with our Teachers Association on a plan that I think makes sense for kids and it's good for teachers as well. So I want to thank everybody for their involvement in that. Tonight, I want to tell everybody that a long time ago, some people down in Menifee said that we weren't going to build someday a beautiful high school, that because Menifee might unify, that we would just kind of build a high school. Well, that high school design, which is now up for approval in Sacramento, has just won an award, a second award, this time from the Association for Learning Environments. It's an architectural award. They were the winner of the design concept, and that's our architect Baker Nowicki, who the board employed, and all the administrators, a lot of our teachers were involved in that process. And someday, hopefully with a school bond measure on the state ballot next year, someday that high school is going to be built, and it is going to be just like we do every time. We want to build a school each time that's better than the one we previously had. So I want to thank Candace and her team for working with Baker Nowicki. I know Hector's in the room, and he's a proud papa of that school as well. And we're going to be proud someday to build a new middle school in Paris as well. Okay. I want to make sure that you get a chance to tell us about Mr. Shane Pinnell.
I am very excited. I don't have to be as close either to this mic, Mr. Rhodes. So I'm very excited to tell you that Shane Pinnell recently participated in a year-long program through CETEPA. I think I always say that acronym wrong, but let me tell you what it stands for. It's the California Educational Technology Professionals Association, and they offer a Chief Technology Officer, or CTO, certification program. So Shane has successfully completed that program and has been recommended to be a certified CTO. So we're really proud of him in this district. For those of you that don't know Shane well, he's extremely innovative, and this program was matched perfectly for him to grow his skills as a leader and becoming more of an instructional leader to help lead our district in the direction we're going. So very proud of you, Shane.
Congratulations, Shane.
He already has that.
All right. I was trying to correct her, and she corrected me. Okay, and last piece of news that I'm surprising my cabinet with this one. That's okay. I like doing that. I received an email from Gwen Hancock, who has worked with Riverside County Office of Education, working with our teacher induction program. And she said, "My name is Gwen Hancock. I currently work with CTI Teacher Induction. Paris Union has developed a long-standing partnership with the Riverside County Office of Education to provide teacher induction for new teachers in order for them to clear their preliminary credentials. I work under the leadership of our director, Barbara Howard. I currently serve 10 agencies in the South County region, and Steve Swartz has been the best agency representative I've ever worked with during my 3 years in the position. He has been very supportive of the program, extremely responsive to any requests, chosen excellent coaches, and set the expectation that ensured a 100% completion rate in your district." So, Steve, I wanted to publicly thank you for that. Inducting and getting our new teachers to clear their credentials and be on the right track is going to change this district forever. The best teachers, it's always said, any district that has the best teachers, and I would say best classified employees and administrators as well, is going to service the kids best. So congratulations. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you. I do want to give credit where credit's due, though, too. The key to that, Gwen mentioned, is the support teachers that we are now called reflective coaches, that we're support providers that we hire, and that's our own people training our new teachers. And that's the key to this program. And so I want to give credit to that. It's very nice of Ms. Hancock to say that, but I do want to give credit to the job that they do, because they're the ones that are in the trenches with them, working with them every week on a daily basis in many cases. So thank you for those kind words, and I just want to be sure that that gets passed on as well, too.
Thank you. And that'll complete my report this evening, Governing Board.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Greenberg. Student representatives to the Board of Trustees, Dr. Arauz.
Sorry. At this time, we are going to welcome Alexa Valencia, a student rep from Heritage High School.
Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, President Nelson, Superintendent Greenberg, board members, and cabinet. To start off, our varsity football team has never failed to impress us during their seasons. And even though we did come short to another CIF victory against Citrus Hill High School, we are very proud of the boys. Now we can't wait till the next season and to support our boys and to support two of our football commits, senior wide receiver and defensive back Aleva Hifo, who will be attending BYU in Utah, and our senior quarterback Brett Virgil, who will be playing for the Army. Our winter sports have gotten off to a great start with girls and boys soccer team. Our boys soccer team won second place in a tournament, and the girls will be competing in a tournament this weekend at Heritage High School. And girls water polo and girls and boys basketball team have gotten off to a good start. We are also preparing for our Winter Wonderland Pep Rally, which will be held during the beginning of next semester. And we had our Winter Spirit Week this week. With Blood Drive, we have had great success with our previous donations, and we are pleased to inform you that we are hosting another one tomorrow all day in the gym. This past week, our Lane Crew hosted our annual Cocoa and Creme, which is the Lane Crew members get to help the freshmen kind of get ready for finals, so they study on their classes and they prepare them for their finals while they sip on some hot cocoa. Our drama department has started rehearsals for their winter black box. They are going to be performing The Breakfast Club. Our Heritage High School choir will be having a concert tomorrow night at 7. We hope to see you all there. And our band concert will be held on the 17th by our Mighty Regiment Band. On the 12th, Ag is hosting their Ag Heritage Cup event where different schools come to compete, and they compete on different categories pertaining to FFA. As we come down to half of the 2015-2016 school year, I and the rest of Heritage would like to congratulate our fellow seniors we would like to congratulate my fellow senior classmates on their acceptance to different colleges and universities. And to close off, I would like to acknowledge the Student of the Month, who is Cesar Martinez, and our Certificated of the Month, Ms. Sarah Huerta, and our Classified of the Month, Ms. Audrey Smith. Thank you for listening. Do you guys have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valencia. Okay, from Paloma Valley High School, student representatives Princess Serafio and Kayla Madrid.
Good afternoon, President Nelson, Board, Superintendent Greenberg, and Cabinet. Where's the... There is no question. There is now. Oh, thank you. Okay. So, to start off, we curated the idea of Scholar Plus Bar from Apple's Genius Bar. Peer technology tutors station themselves at our Scholar Plus Bar and assist students with any technology issues, training, or services that they need. Most commonly, the tech tutors assist with password changes, Infinite Campus portal, and releasing print jobs through our PaperCut software. New students are given an orientation to Chromebooks, Google Apps, and Haiku. Tech tutors also do troubleshoot and do simple repairs on Chromebooks. Miss Dubrow was awarded Teacher of the Year, and her current students. I'm sorry, guys. Her current students would agree that she greatly deserves it. One student says she's my favorite teacher and always takes the time to make sure we understand the material. Mr. Brown was awarded Rookie Teacher of the Year and says that he is very honored and proud of this award. Being a former student and after talking to his current students, we all agree that Mr. Brown has taught us much more than just English and always has such a great and fun way of doing so. Carolyn Smessler on the left and Kristen Esposito on the right are Employees of the Year. Both of these women are wonderful and are always there to help anyone who needs it.
Okay. Okay, so our very own Mr. Pfeiffer was named Rookie Athletic Director of our region, which includes 86 schools. Oh, that's right. Okay, our soccer and basketball. Basketball and soccer have kicked it off to a great start this year. All teams are extremely excited to start off. Okay, NJROTC. Well, we competed in San Diego, which took first place and beat Westview, who was ranked number 5 in the nations last year. We're very proud of them and excited for our next competitions. Mr. Paulson's geography class. Mr. Paulson's geography class had a great time recording songs and relating them to European geography. Mr. Paulson has brought his bongos in and drums for optional use to entertain the class. Okay. Our Plus Club did an awesome team building exercise with our boys soccer team. Plus standards for peer leading. United students and our peer leaders are doing a great job. We wanted to thank Miss Bradley for doing such a great job leading the program. Okay, that'll conclude our
Sorry about the
presentation.
video. There were some louder ones, but I guess I put the wrong one on. But that was
Okay.
pretty good too.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Mr. President, I just would like to make a comment regarding Princess and Kayla's presentation. First of all, excellent presentation. And something that you mentioned at the beginning that is really, really nice that caught my attention was the peer technology tutors, how our own students are teaching other students and helping them. I think that is an excellent project. Yeah, and I'm very proud of the students. Maybe one day I'm going to have the opportunity to visit and get some help in some.
Are your Scholar
learn
Plus
from them?
Are your Scholar Plus bar people called geniuses as well? Geniuses.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Miss Cooley.
From Paris High School, Melissa Vasquez and Alejandra Vea. Vea.
Yeah. Good evening, President Nelson and board members, Superintendent Dr. Greenberg and Cabinet. I am Junior Class President and Paris High School Board Representative, Melissa Vasquez, along with Alex Vela, also your Paris High School Board Representative. So, Plus Plus Leadership held a forum in the small gym with 55 students in attendance. The forum focused on school spirit and bullying by engaging students in a variety of activities designed to connect students with their peers. The forum ended with an in-depth conversation about sensitive topics such as bullying, motivation, and suicide. Those who attended the forum gave positive feedback about the experience. The forum is student-led by the Plus Leadership and their advisor, Mr. Salcedo. A guest speaker came to Paris High. Her name was Debs Beckwith. She was with the Shea Project, or Sharing Honest Adolescence Education, came to and led an honest and open discussion in an effort to bring current, relevant legal drugs and alcohol abuse information to help families and communities. While traditional drugs were discussed, such as crack or meth, non-traditional drugs such as caffeine and cough syrup opened many of our eyes to the potential danger of using these substances.
A couple of things she had shared with us about this is that high doses of caffeine are found in energy drinks that today's youth are consuming in high rates. DM, or dextromethorphan, a cough suppressant found over-the-counter cough syrup, is being abused and is not seen as harmful because it isn't something as popular. Our guest speaker, Deb Beckwith, also shared that her daughter had unfortunately died from abusing that suppressant. Now off to something a little happier. Who doesn't enjoy a week off? Family, friends, and a whole lot of food made for a great Thanksgiving break, and we all hope you had a great week off as well. At the Winter Formal Pep Rally, we celebrated all things winter. We kicked off winter sports that included boys and girls basketball, soccer, wrestling, and girls water polo. This rally was dedicated to Coach Mandeville. He was celebrated in dance by PhD, honored by the basketball team in a silent prayer, and by students wearing white ribbons. He touched many lives and will be greatly missed. This year's theme is Enchanted Forest, and this will take place on Friday, December 18th at the Life Arts Center in downtown Riverside during the beautiful Festival of Lights. Dancing, food, fun, and the crowning of royalty are plans for the evening. It is shaping up to be a great dance as 64% of the tickets have already been sold. On the behalf of Paris High School, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and to Dr. Greenberg, Happy Hanukkah and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Trustee Agundes.
Yeah, from Pinacate Middle School, student reps Itza Marie Arriaga and Javier Chavez.
Good evening, President Nelson, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Greenberg, members of the Cabinet, and members of the community. I'm Javier Chavez, 8th grade representative.
And I am Itza Marie Arriaga, ASB Treasurer. This month we would like to highlight our STEAM program and the wonderful activities and events we have had this past month. The program includes electives in math, Project Lead the Way, technology, GEMS, which stands for Girls Excelling in Math and Science, art, drama, music. After school we have robotics, and they are always making things happen in our maker space. We have a short video we would like to show you.
As you can As you can see, there are a lot happening in Pinacati. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do you have any questions for us? Watch out for our Twitter updates. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. From Paris Lake High School, student representatives David Contreras, Demetrius Alviar, Myra Gonzalez, Jocelyn Hernandez, and Brittany Maldonado.
Good evening, Governing Board, Dr. Greenberg, and Cabinet Member. My name is Myra Gonzalez, and I'm a member of Paris Lake High School ASB. The Halloween maze took place in the library this year and was hosted and put together by ASB. Our group came together and not only created and assembled the items, but they all participated in making the maze an adventurous success.
We congratulate our Student of the Month, Jose Flores. We appreciate all that he represented the Falcons so well for doing his best and giving it his all.
Spirit Week for December. Before we go to winter break, ASB is hosting a Spirit Week for the week of December 14 through 18. Monday, Santa hat, Tuesday, Christmas PJs, Wednesday, ugly Christmas sweaters, Thursday, Christmas socks, Friday, winter break begins.
I have to interrupt you real quick. Is there just another day just for ugly sweaters? Because Mr. Hauser's got a ton of those. And every boy in the school could have one. They're the ones, the shoulder, those.
You could have a whole week and never wear the same one twice, huh?
The administration of Paris Lake High School awarded some of our hardworking students that have a 2.5 or higher GPA. We had 72 certificates handed out to students for those that had excellent attendance, great grades, and super behavior for the second trimester on Friday, December 4th. Last trimester, we also had 92 students that had gotten awards for their hard work. In total, it was 170 students for both trimesters. There are 3 levels that students can receive: silver, platinum, and gold. And we also had a raffle for great prizes like skateboards and scooters within that same group. It was a very fun activity and enjoyable thing for our students that do a great job in school.
Deck the Halls door decorating contest. The Paris Lake ASB have organized a voluntary door decorating contest for teachers that would like to participate. Last year, all teachers and classes participated. The contest began this Monday and goes until Friday the 11th. The judging will take place the following Tuesday.
We are currently collecting items for our annual toy drive. We have decided those toys will go to the Riverside County Department of Social Service, and we are collecting generally used warms, blankets, clothing for the homeless. Finally, we want to congratulate our employers of the month. Nancy Hinaosa was our classified Employee of the Month, and Marta Puente was our Certificate Teacher of the Month. And we thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Students, I know you have finals next week. If you guys need to go home and study, by all means. Yeah, if you don't, it's on you. So this is your warning. Thank you all for your reports. Okay. We will continue. Next item is CSEA President Claudia Davis. I do not see her. Oh, CSEA Christmas party. I guess that's more important than us. I don't blame them. All right. Oral report, PSEA Vice President Chris Madalena. Not here. Is anybody here from PSEA? No, Hector's not from PSEA. Okay. No report from PSEA this month then. Okay. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees on agendized and non-agendized items. Is anybody turning a card? Nope. No cards. Okay. Okay, we have the consent calendar. Reminder that 12.5 was taken out. We have a motion?
You make a motion.
Okay, any questions? No? No questions. It's consent calendar, so please vote. No, it's me. The vote hasn't even come up yet. Oh, mine. Well, it's going to be Carolyn, too, but it hasn't even shut. Okay, 401, thank you. Okay, oral reports, data analysis of student discipline.
Yes, you might remember, Board, Dr. Rouse had asked for information, and I think it was an excellent request that we've asked Dr. Newman. He wasn't available at the last board meeting. He and Ms. Zierl were at a conference, and so asked him to come and kind of give us the highs and the lows, what's happening, what's not happening, and what our plans are to shore up the areas that need to be shored up. So, Dr. Newman, thank you for coming.
Sounds good. Good evening, board members, cabinet. This is a time where we go over our discipline, and like Dr. Greenberg said, it's something that we look at actually monthly with all the APs. We spend time going through this data because, like Dr. Greenberg said, we don't necessarily want to celebrate. We do want to celebrate the things that are working, but we also want to identify the areas that we need to grow in as well. And so we'll go through general suspension data, but then we'll get really specific in terms of the big offenses in terms of fighting drugs and then also weapons on our campuses. And so first off, we'll look at our suspension data. And so we have data up here that are actually the number of students that have been suspended by years. And so when we look over, we have 2012, 13 is the initial year, and this is the same timelines that exist between August and November, so that we can measure exactly where we are this year in terms of suspensions. And so that number has suspension. These are number of students that are suspended. Yeah, numbers are suspended. This is district-wide. And so as you go through, these are the actual numbers that we have. Yeah, and so this is through November. This is almost half the year. That's what you're looking at right here. And so as you go through, you have the actual the numbers of students that are suspended. And you see the number has declined over the last several years from 2012-13 to 2015-16. The number have progressively declined in terms of the number of students that are being suspended. In the same way, we've also identified specific ethnic groups that we want to take a look at in terms of our African American students. We see the number has over the past few years, it has declined as well, the number of students that are being suspended in that same time frame. Our Hispanic students and also our white students as well. We have noticed a decline in the suspension numbers. And then also we wanted to identify our English learners as well and see that we've also experienced a decline year after year in terms of the number of students that are being suspended. This is our students with disabilities, and so this particular number, we have experienced increase over the years, but also when you look at this number, the percentage of students that are represented in this number has increased as well over the past few years as well. So there's been, I believe, close to a 12% increase in our enrollment over the past several years in terms of our students with disabilities. But still, this is something that we want to continue to look at and ensure that we kind of have plans to support those students better in our schools. Something I want to bring up, as we look at the decrease in suspensions, we want to keep in mind that there's been some legislation that supported those decreases, in particular AB 1729, other means of correction, that we now have to provide other means of correction to suspend kids for 48900 offenses, with the exception of 48900 A, B, C, D, and E. And basically, A represents your fights. That's still a first offense suspension. B would represent your firearms or weapons on campus. That's still a first offense suspension. C is under the influence or possession. That's a first offense suspension. And then also you have E, which is a robbery or extortion, first offense suspension. So those have remained the same. And so we're going to look at a few of those at this time. So in terms of drugs on our campuses. So as you look through, this is August through November numbers, and this is numbers from 2012-13 until 2015-16. And so as you look at drugs on our campuses, the top number represents the district, how we've done district-wide. And so we've seen a major drop in 2012-13, 13-14, slight increase from last year, and then we saw a decrease this year at this point. That trend is trending down in terms of drugs, drug possession on our campuses, or under the influence.
What do you attribute that to, Dr. Newman?
I'm going to go into that in just a few minutes in terms of some action steps that we've taken, because I want to be able to identify, I'm going to go over the general data, then I'm going to come back and nail down some specific action steps that we're taking. So we'll go through the data first. But specifically this year, we've had some very specific items that we've done because we've noticed that increase in drug use over the past. And then also some issues going on in our community in terms of, some people are growing marijuana in their backyards now. So that, many years ago, kids didn't experience that, so they have a lot more access to drugs. And so we want to be aware of that and support our students better. And then also, you also have down here, you have the actual specific school site trends, and you see those trends as well are flatlining, are going in the positive direction in terms of their declining on our campuses. This is the one for fighting this year, and this has been a cause for us to really come together and really put together some plans in terms of fighting on our campuses. And so in 2012-13, in our district, we noticed a decline from 147 to 117, kind of flatlined last year at this time, but we still went up gradually. This year we have identified a spike in our number in terms of fights. And so that particular data is something that we've come together monthly, and we've been having conversations about and creating action plans for each specific site in terms of what they need to do to improve this particular data on their campuses. If you look down here, you also have specific sites that are listed here. So the blue right here marks, we see at Pinacati, we have Pinacati with an increase. Heritage has had an increase, and then Paris has also had an increase. Paloma Valley, we have noticed there was a decrease. But we also noticed that we had an increase last year at Paloma. But Paloma had taken some specific action steps with this data in terms of what they started the year with, because that was something that stood out in their school, and they saw a decrease in fights on their campuses. And then down below right here, we have Paris Lake, kind of identified a flat line there. And then also the Academy, we have identified a decrease in fights on that campus as well. All right. In terms of weapons on campus, and this is kind of what the numbers look like. In 2012-13, we had a drop to 13. And then and last year, there was a slight increase to 19. And at this particular time, we're up at 25. Weapons that are found. And when we talk in terms of weapons, it could be normally a knife. Many of our kids, oftentimes you find kids in this, they're coming from rural backgrounds. Many of them ride horses, they're out on their farms, and we have legitimate kids here who just legitimately left the weapon in their bag and came on campus. And then oftentimes there are kids that should not have had that weapon, and we address those kids as well. So that's kind of...
Isn't it my understanding, Dr. Newman, I'm sorry to interrupt, that none of these were brandished? Is that correct?
Correct. No, we haven't had any episodes of brandish. And when we talk a little bit about what we're doing in terms of drugs, we'll go into why this number might be a little higher this year, because we're doing a lot more proactive work, getting out there, searching classrooms. We're having more proactive searches in classrooms, and a lot of the blades are coming out of the work that we're doing with our K-9 searches. So that's what we have there. So real quick, so I want to go through in terms of kind of what we do with the data monthly. So monthly we meet, and we expect sites to identify their successes and their challenges. That we expect them to come in and identify what has been successful this month and what has been your challenges this month. So that's a conversation we're having with the AP that's over PBIS at their campuses. We expect them to create action plans, specific steps they're going to take to address their data. That action plan is reviewed at our monthly meeting. So the conversation we had in November, in January, we'll be coming back looking at their data, having additional conversation in terms of what has been accomplished, and then they'll go into revisions and updates for next semester. And so this is kind of the continuous improvement process that we have embraced in PBIS. PBIS doesn't say that everything is going to be perfect. What it says is that we now have a system in place where we systematically look at our data and make decisions about how can we improve our data and how can we get better at what's taking place on our campuses. So this was one example. The drug prevention last year was a big issue in terms of drugs on campus, and so we saw that data was trending upward. So we have weekly K9 searches at all of our high schools. That means weekly the dogs are on campus, and we communicate that to all of our students. We want them to be aware, this is what we're working on. Weekly we do have dogs that come on campus and randomly check classrooms, and those dogs also identify weapons as well. And this is the component I was telling you about. Many times in these searches, the dogs are, I have no idea how a dog can identify if someone has a blade on them, but they're able to identify if something's in the backpack that's inappropriate. So we have identified quite a few blades through our K9 searches. But that has made a difference. Drug prevention classes we currently have on campus, if kids are caught under the influence, in possession, we send them to classes. We have our Friday Night Live activities that are proactive activities notifying kids in terms of the dangers of drugs. And we also have behavior expectation presentations that take place every 6 weeks, getting the message out to kids in terms of what those expectations are on campus. So that's an example of what we've done this year in terms of drug prevention. We can always get better, but we want to document the steps that we're taking to really alleviate this issue on our campuses. And the last one is kind of the big one. The A1s came up in terms of the fight, so we really have gotten together as a team. And these are all the different action steps we came together with as a district in terms of, and different sites are using different ones. So, for instance, increased visibility on campus, making sure admin teams are out, making sure campus supervisors are out whenever we have a passing period. We increase visibility. We know that specifically will have an impact. Encourage teachers to stand at their doors during passing period. Include one other issue was including our campus supervisors in our weekly data analysis of what's taking place on confrontations, making sure they're aware that we have this goal on our campuses. Increase student presentations. We want to brainstorm environmental factors with our campus supervisors. If fights are happening in a specific location, we want to make sure that we're aware of what that location, what that time of day is, what maybe the day of the week, and we target that specific location to reduce those issues. And then provide peer groups for students involved in confrontations. Make sure we get some support. When kids are involved in confrontations, we have a way that we help them to resolve those issues. The last one is increase unity in plus forums. Debrief every fight on campus, meaning we need to come together every fight on campus and debrief. If we did not break it up, what exactly happened? Let's have a conversation about this so we can make sure that we're all accountable, that our goal is to prevent these situations from happening. And the last one is just to train safe student ambassadors, where kids can go to other students to help them resolve their conflicts. And so that's just kind of an overview of just where we are with the data, the work that we're doing. It's ongoing. It's something that we take very seriously. Those numbers that you see on the screen, our goal is that by June, we will be able to see a decrease in all those numbers. So that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
I just have a comment,
Okay.
Dr. Newman. First of all, thank you for making this presentation, right? And I'm really impressed with the process. And the most important thing, how you mentioned, is developing the action plan and addressing that. I'm just wondering, as you know, at the state level, we have the significant disproportionality on suspensions in special ed compared with the regular population.
Correct.
If we transfer that concept of significant disproportionality, I was looking at the Hispanic population, if we focus on the last year, 15, 16, on this year, 426. I'm looking at the data here from CDE, from even though it's 2014, but it's going to be similar in terms of student enrollment here in our district. We have 10,510 students. Hispanics, we have 7,353. It's about roughly an estimate about 73% of the students, and we had 426 suspensions. If we compare that to the African American, the population of African American students is 759. That is about 7%. These 108 it seems that is a significant disproportionality here in African American suspensions.
Right.
Can we look into that, and what specific steps are we taking in order to address those issues and support the African American population? I'm not sure what is the percent or what is the differential, can we call it like that the state uses to determine the significant disproportionality with special ed.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but in this case, I'm seeing 426 for 73%, right? And then 108, right? Of 23% of 73 compared with 426, it seems about 20%, roughly, right?
Yeah,
about 20% compared with Hispanics. If the population is 7%, so we're talking about almost 3 times the number of suspensions in African Americans that with Hispanics. Same thing with white. The white population, we have 64, and I can see the significant disproportionality between African American and white, because 64 out of the white population is 1677, so it's 16%. 64, and this one actually is the double. So the disproportionality between white and African American is probably 400%, can we say, like 4 times.
Yeah.
Just wondering if we're
currently working a couple of things. I know Mr. Bennett has us working on. We have we're creating African American parent advisory committees at every campus.
Excellent.
So we're working on that right now, and also having a district African American advisory committee as well, to start addressing some of these issues that you're talking about, specifically in terms of student achievement, as well as the disproportionality that exists in our suspensions. And so we want to bring more people to the table to have that conversation in terms of how can we support our African American students.
Excellent. And obviously that is going to transfer, right, when we address this into student achievement, because our students are going to be in class.
Another thing we've done, Dr. Rouse, is we're working with the Sigma Beta Xi organization, and we contract with them to come in, and they're doing a mentoring program with our a group of African American boys to help them. And it's not only grades; it's also behavioral. It's being attendance, coming to school, and they're working with us with our African American Parent Advisory Council also. So we've been reaching out and trying to make a difference with some of those kids. We during the summer we kind of targeted the group of kids that we were looking at and have them working with them now through this year.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. No other questions. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you for the information.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We can go one more. We can go for one more. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, information item on English Language Development Program, including the data on reclassification rates and other relevant student achievement indicators. So, oral report.
Yes, sir. We have a team here led by Mr. Tippy of teachers who are working with our English language learners. And, you know, I lost my document, but a couple of years ago, the public needs to know, I think our teachers know, we had the highest reclassification rate in the entire county. And so we're really proud of the work we do with English learners, but we can always do better. And thank the teachers for joining Mr. Tippy here tonight to describe what we're doing and where we're going. And I know, Dr. Rouse, this is important to everybody, but I know you asked for it, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Nelson, honorable members of the board, Dr. Greenberg, and cabinet. Thank you for the introduction. Really fortunate and happy to be here tonight. We have a great team of dedicated, hardworking, very caring teachers, and it's just been a pleasure to work with them throughout the year. We have a presentation tonight. We're going to go over demographic and student achievement data, and then highlight some of the things that we've been doing this year, and then also identify some of the goals that we have. There's so much that, and I think I speak for all of us, so much that we want to do moving forward in addition to what we've done already. So that's kind of the overview of our program, and then we can answer questions towards the end. So I wanted to start off with just an overview of language proficiency. So what this graph shows, if you look on the right-hand side in green, those are students that come from a household where only English is spoken at home. In the yellow, orange, and the light green, those are households where, and I'll use Spanish for the example, that's 99% of our English learner population. Those are households where Spanish is the primary language at home. This is district-wide data. The information in green, the 50%, probably a little bit inflated. A lot of times parents don't accurately put the information on the home language survey because they're the concerns that they have with programs. If we look at Paris High School and Pinacate Middle School, you'll see that the number of Spanish-speaking homes are almost about 70%. So the dark green is English only. English is only spoken at the home. The light green, the IFEP, those would be students that come from a two-language home. They took the California English Language Development Test, most likely in kinder or in elementary school. They scored high enough to not be considered an English learner. The EL are students that are currently in an EL program, so they're learning English, and we're moving to get them reclassified to be fluent English proficient or reclassified fluent English proficient. So those are the English proficiency demographics of our schools, and you can see it's just a really significant population of students that we have. I mean, this is our district, these are our kids, and the numbers show that. Another very significant demographic to look at, these are the parent education levels of English learners throughout the district. So what this shows is the highest education level of the student. So for an example, you see the big red there. That means that 54% of our students come from a household where neither mom nor dad graduated high school. And then if you look at the orange, 30% of both parents did graduate high school, and that's their highest education level. So what you see up there is the highest education level of both parents. So one of the big, the focus of our presentation and what we're really proud of was the Latino Family Literacy College Readiness Project. And it was just eye-opening for a lot of us when we talked about a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, and A through G. If you look, only about 4% of our parents have the college degrees for this subgroup. So it was a really great experience, a lot of engaging questions, and we were really excited. So just wanted to share that kind of overview, but that once again, these are our kids. This is what we're working towards. These are the annual measurable achievement objectives. So this is the accountability system that measures how we're doing as far as teaching our students English and getting them proficient in English. I'm going to be really excited, I hope, to present this to you in February when this year's test scores come out, because these guys have done a lot of work working with students. They've done tutoring, and it's not just getting the kids ready for the test. We're teaching them skills on answering incomplete sentences and really building those skills that the standards are measuring and that we need kids to be successful in life. So this is the data. You can see AMAO 1, that looks at the percentage of students that move up a CELT level. So if they go from beginning to intermediate or early advanced to advanced, or if they hit the top two levels of early advanced or advanced. So that's what that looks at. And you can see the last 3 years it's been flat. I really expect to see an increase when we get scores back from the test that the kids took in this October. AMAO 2A, that looks at students who have been enrolled in a U.S. school for less than 5 years. So these are brand new enrollments. These are students who are enrolling at Paris High School as a 9th grader, and they've been in Mexico for their whole educational career. So brand new enrollments. Also keep in mind it's a very small number of students. You can see in 2015 there were 133 students district-wide. So we're definitely doing a lot to work with those students. Just keep in mind it is a small number of kids. And then AMAO 2B, those are students that have been enrolled in a U.S. school for more than 5 years, commonly referred to as long-term English learners. And we're also working really hard with that group to get them proficient. Reclassification rate. So this data shows the percentage of students that went from being in an English learner program or considered an English learner to actually mastering the skills in English to be considered what's called reclassified fluent English proficient. So basically that means at one time they were an English learner and then they've overcome those barriers and they're proficient in English. This slide, I just want to point out that there's a lot of change and instability in this data. I'll give you an example. 13-14 was the year that CSTs were no longer administered, so that number's a little bit lower. The board in October approved our new reclassification criteria, and that's reflected in the 15-16 numbers, so there's a lot of change in these numbers. I think the process that we put together and that you approved it really involves teacher evaluation. So they're sitting down, looking at their students' performance on the ELD standards. And I think we will see growth in the next couple of years. I just wanted to kind of point that out. These are scores from the 11th grade SBAC summative assessment. You can see that we have a ton of work to do. Red is bad, green is good, and we don't have enough green in our English learner graph. So we're going to be working really hard to provide interventions, and these guys are going to talk about a lot of that as we go on. This is the SBAC interim assessment that we just administered in ELA classes a few weeks ago. The teachers are administering the second exam right now, so I don't have that data yet. So slight improvements, but once again, it's not enough. I think I speak for everyone here that there's so much that we want to do and that we're working towards, so looking to improve on those numbers. This is a DF grade analysis, so what these numbers are a combination of our English learners district-wide who have Ds or Fs in the different content areas. So on this one, you're going to see a negative number in green, and that's good because we want to see less Ds and Fs with our students, obviously. So the government, there's 95 EL students in government right now. What we're still concerned with, though, is if you combine government and econ, there's still about 85% of our kids that have a D or an F in that course. They're either in econ or government. We did see some improvements, specifically in math, which is a good thing. And then overall, we have 1.2% fewer Ds or S for these kids district-wide. So we want to see that be 10% less as we're working on. So what we're going to do, each person's going to present the next person. So I have the honor of presenting Mr. Jesse Call from Paloma Valley High School. And my first year of teaching, I taught ELD 1, 2, and 3 in the summer school program, and it was a lot, 5 hours, and you're trying to teach 3 classes, and Mr. Call was a big help to me, so I appreciate it. He's going to talk about what they've done with curriculum developments. It's great tie.
I don't wear these very often, in case you can't tell. We have a new curriculum, a new textbook, EDGE, and this is my 15th year, and in my 15 years, this is by far the best, because it moves fast, and yet it still allows depth of knowledge. It comes with a workbook that's for grammar, and also a workbook that's interactive. So it's got the stories right in there, and they can react to the stories, they can answer questions, they can circle things, they're looking for different answers. Really, really a good curriculum. In the past, we've had things that move kind of slow. And as we all know, once they get to our district, we've got anywhere from 1 to 6 years to get them to learn the language and to get all the units they need to graduate. And that's not a lot of time. So this really helps with that. And also go to the next slide. How do I do that? I'm very technologically challenged. All right. Got it. Like my dad always said, you learn something every day if you're not careful. This is some curriculum that we got together. It's a curriculum map that Charles got some EL teachers and leads together, and we put together a map that's fast-paced to get them through the book in a year, so that they're ready to go to the next level the next year. But it does cover all the standards, and it covers them all in depth. Okay. And it does allow the teachers freedom to do their own thing. In this map, it shows what they need to teach, and the book does show them a lot of things. It gives them a lot of options, but they can choose from those options. Okay. I'd like to introduce Norma Carrillo.
Good evening, board members. So I'm going to be going over the teacher supports. From the beginning of school, Charles has been working with the EL leads to equip us so that we can support our teachers in the endeavor they have in serving our English learners well. So one thing that we did is, first of all, reviewed our reclassification criteria that we started that conversation the previous academic year. So we presented the reclassification criteria to our staff with a significant change in the criteria was basically moving away from making decisions on English fluency proficiency, from looking at academic grades to actually looking at the standards. So the nice thing is that part of the reclassification criteria is a teacher component that now they have to fill out this teacher recommendation form, and the data that is here is actually comes out from the new ELD framework. So, in addition to this reclassification criteria training, we actually trained our teachers so that they know how to fill this form out. And it's really cool because the form, the data, and the language that is in this teacher evaluation form comes out of component 2 of the new ELD framework, which is basically looking at how English learners use language in meaningful ways in their content courses. So in that way, we know that our teachers, including myself, love looking at standardized language, abstract language, and in this way, they're able to look at their specific students in their classes and then assess their students against those ELD standards. So that's been very helpful for us. Also, just want to remind us that last year we started the preparation of our teachers with the new ELD framework. So I think we had about 122 teachers go through the training that was offered through Riverside County Office of Education. So that's been helpful to refresh teachers. We had this professional development again at the beginning of the year in August, and in January we're also offering another component of the ELD professional development, again revisiting that framework and getting more in depth. We have, I think, about 239 teachers registered for that. So our EL leads are going to be working together to present those trainings. When we come back from Christmas break, during second semester, our plan is to continue these ongoing trainings to again build awareness on the EL framework at student services as well as our specific sites. In addition, the leads at the different sites have been utilized by the core teachers in different ways. Some teachers invite us to collaborate in discussing their lesson plans. Also, after that, implementing those lesson plans, and then after the lesson is presented, we reflect together, and then other times our teachers are requesting one-on-one interventions with their specific students, or maybe requesting ELD CELT data reports from us. Another exciting thing is the EL tip of the week, which we kind of stole from the technology department. So we have the English Learner Tip of the Week, and this is an online resource that we have available through Haiku. So we're working on making sure that all our sites utilize that. And again, it's just a different format for the teachers to access resources to better work with our English learners. Just kind of differentiating for our teachers as well. Okay. And with that, I think I'm going to introduce my friend Jose de Vicente from Pinacate Middle School.
Thank you, Norma. I don't know how I can top that Teacher of the Year. But I'm going to try. So we really believe in meeting our LCAP goals of involving parents in our schools, and especially the EL community, because traditionally we feel that they're afraid of coming on campus. So we consistently think of things to do to bring the community on campus. And so we feel that this is important to build our community. There's a picture there of some parents volunteering on school campuses. Some campuses see as many as 20 to 30 parent volunteers consistently signed up to come and help, and they make posters. They prepare the meeting rooms for administrators. They make flyers. They talk to other parents in the community. And they really are really great help on the campus, and you see them walking around delivering papers to teachers and some of the things that they do on campus. And we also provide the ESL classes and citizenship classes at the sites throughout the district. And this year we're doing that through MSJC College. And so it's an awesome program. And we also provide gang awareness workshops throughout the district to help parents with parenting tips on gang awareness and drugs. College readiness workshops involve knowledge of A through G requirements and getting on that path to college and this is for all students. And we also have IC trainings for all parents where they can come to schedule in a workshop and they come to school and we train them how to look up their kids' grades and so they can monitor their students' progress. And so this is what Mr. Tippy brought up a little while ago. This is the latest thing that we brought, the Latino Family Literacy Project. It's a 5-day workshop and that promotes literacy. And so this helps parents understand what their kids go through in school every day and what they need to do to get them on that path to college readiness. And so here's some presenters that are former students, and they are now UCR students. And they came to one of the workshops to talk about how they did it and how they got to UCR. And you see a parent there reading a book, and I'll explain that a little bit more. Here's some of the highlights of that project. You see right there, Graciela's Dream is the book that we read throughout the 5-day workshop. So the parents get to read about a girl who wants to go to college, and she's a Latina, so she's an EL. And so the book talks about the barriers that she faces, and so the parents get to read it in Spanish with us, and their kids too. Their students have to come with them to the workshop. And so we read through them, and we see Graciela eventually getting an acceptance letter in Chapter 10. So it was a really great experience for the parents, and you'll see some testimonials in a second. Other things that we covered here were A through G requirements and graduation requirements. Financial aid was big. We hit a lot of information on financial aid. College applications, we actually walked them through a mock one, a paper one. We had guest speakers, counselors from throughout the district and MSJC. And again, the college students were there too. We also had a principal from this high school in Jurupa, and he's a school board member. I like his name. That's my name, Jose Luis. But and he gave a wonderful speech about never giving up. Our slogan at Paris High, never give up. So it was really awesome to hear that speech. Thank you. Our parents need to hear that never give up speech. So it was awesome. We had about 100 parents there with their students. It's 5-week programs, and we got together once a week. And here are some testimonials. I think I'm going to need Charles to see how I can. Oh, there it is. It didn't work. The door over here. And one final testimonial from our evaluation forms that we gave out to the parents. We decided to put this one on here because it was pretty cool. So it's translated in English on the other side. But basically he's saying that he felt like he was in the ocean on open water when it came to his knowledge of education. And with this program now, he feels like he's in the swimming lane straight to shore. So I thought that was very powerful of this man saying that. And with that, I will let Natalia Orndorff take over.
Now that I want to cry, it's my turn. I know the first time we saw, some of us cried. I know Jose was like falling. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Natalia Orndorff from Heritage High School, and this is my first year working as EL coordinator. And it's definitely a privilege and a blessing because I was an EL learner myself. So it's really, really great to give back to this community. And I want to talk to you guys about ELAC and DLAC. So it's not just great to work with the ELD students, with English learners, but also to get to know their parents. That's really been great. And I feel that ELAC is growing and it's getting better as the meetings come along. So the things that we have been talking to the parents about through ELAC are listed there. So a few things. We've covered FAFSA. We've talked about the A through G requirements. We've been able to get a lot of help from our counselors to talk to the parents during ELAC. We've also talked to them about testing. One of the things, too, that we've talked to parents is CELT. And we talked to them about the boot camp. We explained to them everything that we did with the students through the boot camp. And I want to give you guys a little brief, some information of what the boot camp was about. So when we planned for a boot camp, we didn't just want to teach the students about the skills and the strategies, but we wanted to establish a relationship and a bond with the students. And for them to know that within ELD that they have a little family, that they have a team of counselors and teachers and a coordinator that they can always come to and receive help from. And I think that we were really able to establish that. So when the kids see us on campus, they'll say hi now, and they know who we are. And I think that doing this boot camp was really helpful. And as one of the testers, as one of the proctors, I was able to see that. When we were doing the one-on-ones, the kids were on it. They were ready, and it really, really helped. So I was really happy to see that the boot camp was a success. So during ELAC, we shared this with the parents, and the parents were really pleased and grateful that we were able to prepare their children to succeed in this test. So they were very happy. We also talked to the parents about reclassification. We asked them for their approval. We asked them if they agreed with the reclassification. So we took time to go over that during ELAC. And if they had questions, they voiced their concerns, they asked questions, and so forth. And then anybody who had concerns, we took it to DLAC. And we went over the form as well. We also talked about, we also did a small award ceremony for the students who got reclassified. So when we explained their reclassification, we invited those parents, those students and parents the students who were reclassified, they were invited. We had a little ceremony, and I know that all the campuses did that as well. And at Heritage, we were very excited that we were able to reclassify 45 students. That was a really large number, so it was definitely a treat for all of us. Our principal was there, our counselors, our VP, so we had a really nice celebration. And like I said, the other schools did the same thing. Parents were really excited. The kids were also, they felt very accomplished. So that was really great, and we have a picture there of those celebrations and the kids receiving their awards. But then in ELAC, we have a lot more that we want to work towards. We want to get more guest speakers because the parents really benefit from that. We've had our counselors speak to the parents already about graduation requirements, but we would love to bring in some college representatives to continue talking to the parents about college, university opportunities. The parents want to know more. They want to keep hearing about it. Several of our ELAC parents did attend the literacy program, and they have asked if there's going to be more of this. And we told them, just, come to ELAC because we are going to continue talking about this. We would also like to bring military representatives. A lot of our ELD students want to join the military. So we think it's really important that they do get exposed to that as well. So we have a lot to work towards and to prepare for next semester for our ELAC. As far as DLAC, we've had some parent involvement as well, which is really great. So just to give you guys an example, at Heritage we have a parent president, vice president, and secretary, and those parents have gotten involved with DLAG. I know every campus is bringing their representatives to DLAG. The parents are voicing their concerns. They are getting involved, which is really great. Some of the parents were asking questions about tutoring, and some of them were happy with it. Some, had some concerns, and they want a little more. They want to see different. So that's something that I know Mr. Tippy said he was going to look into. So the parents, they're not being too shy. So they're being vocal about what's going on in their students' education. So they are giving feedback and making recommendations at the DLAG table. So that's been really great. Okay. And now our partner in crime sitting, Gabby Zimmerman.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we monitor our EL and our RFEP students. So as EL leads, we are surveying our students and we're monitoring progress towards reclassification. We take a look at assessment results, in progress grades, and we also look at the new teacher reclassification recommendation forms that we implemented this year. This allows us to take a look at what our students' areas of strength and weaknesses are, so we can then incorporate strategies and interventions that can help them achieve academic success.
Okay, so just a couple things I want to add. We've been looking for ways to identify these strengths and weaknesses by way of surveying our students, whether we're meeting with them individually in groups. And this is where our students have now opened up and shared with us sometimes that in these classes, the classes, they like them, but sometimes they feel the content is a little bit too fast, and they don't feel comfortable enough with letting the instructors know that, can you go over that again, because they don't want to look, get all the attention from their peers. So hearing that, then we take that back, and we know that we have to do some more work to work with our teachers, just to go over strategies that help our teachers repeat concepts that could be, they're very familiar to us because we teach the same content year after year, but not so much for our students. Also, the core content teachers refer our students to us, their students that are struggling either by email or through PLC collaboration. And so just with what Ms. Zimmerman already added, right now we have a big push to build the reclassification awareness with our students as well as with our parents, so that our students and their parents can be better advocates for themselves. And as well, Charles is really working with us to make sure that all the leads get better at looking at these D and F reports, and we're better able to manipulate these so we can identify academic priorities, and then we can set those interventions that are desperately needed with our students.
And just to talk a little bit about interventions for EL and RFEP students, we've started some interventions, and our goal is to incorporate more and more strategies that can benefit our students. We have our reclassification workshops. We work with individual and group students, and probably my favorite thing to do is work with individual students. So I meet with my EL and my RFEP students one-on-one. We discuss the reclassification process, and we discuss where they are in, what their progress is. And this allows me to really get to know my students, build that rapport, and if they're close to reclassifying, I can give them that push they need to have the motivation to do what they need to do to reclassify, or if for whatever reason they're still, have some things they need to accomplish, I can then, monitor them and also just let them know that support is available and there are things that we can do to help you, and just let them know what their future goals are, so that if they don't reclassify before they graduate high school, when they get to college or the university, there's still support for EL students that's available to them that could really help them be successful in college. The other thing that I really like is we use the information that we get from meeting with our students, which Ms. Carrillo mentioned, to inform our professional development when we're working with teachers. So we take the information we learned from the students and we bring it back to the teachers, and we really tailor our workshops to what the students let us know that they need from the teacher, so we can make sure that they achieve their success.
Just to add a couple things, some of the communication gaps that we've been able to fill from working with the students, whether it's individually or by group, Like when we were doing the reclassification, one of the 4 items is to get that parent signature and parent approval. So all of us are new at this job. So we're like, okay, so we got the teacher recommendations in. We have all the data there. So what now? And so we found out, we just had the conversation, okay, so how are we doing with those parent consent signatures? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, where do I check? So I checked with the counselors, and we had 5. At Paris High School, I think we had 96 eligible students, and of those, I only had 5 parents return that form. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I'm like, I know that we don't have that many students that don't want to be reclassified. So we started pulling students out, calling the parents, and come to find just basic communication issues. The parents were like, oh, well, wait a minute. Oh, so my kid's being reclassified. The kids are like, what? I'm being reclassified? What does that mean? So we had the opportunity to talk, and then the parents were like, oh, after we explained, they were like, oh, wait a minute. I do remember receiving that letter, and I don't know where it's at. So then that led me to know that I needed to pull all my 96 kids at the NPR and have an RFIP meeting. And again, real quick, go over reclassification criteria. Let them know, remember, you don't want to take CEL? Well, you better get that parent signature form in. And we had a majority of our students turn it in that way and finished up the rest. We're finishing up with those phone calls. So it's been very helpful that if we weren't having these interactions with our students, we wouldn't find out, because it's not something that we do all the time. And in terms of referring our students to these different tutoring services, what we're finding is that it's not like the students don't know that there's tutoring available, but we need to do a better job of monitoring their use of these services. And so our conversations are geared with the parents, with letting them know we have the SES tutoring, and asking them directly, are you using this service? And I know this is not homework help, but you need to be using this. So what we're going to be doing, implementing at our sites, working with the innovative program to check how many of our students are actually using the innovative services, as well as the SES tutoring, and then also down the line, doing an evaluation of the effectiveness of this tutoring services. So we find if it's not working, then let's look at something else. Oh, and the last part, the parent workshops, which we've already kind of highlighted. So I just kind of want to add, as part of the different things that we're doing, we're working with the Parent Engagement Initiative. Yeah, okay. That program, PELI. And so all our sites are have had conversations with parents to identify what are the major needs. And so one of the common threads is that the need to improve the communication between the teachers, staff, and the students. So we're implementing these Infinite Campus trainings to, again, support these interventions with our ELs and RFIP students.
So we just want to highlight some of the accomplishments. We are working with the PD on the ELD standards and the framework. So with the new Common Core state standards, we have new English language development standards that are aligned to the Common Core. So we'll be working, this team will be training. I think we said it a lot before, that having our teachers train other teachers is more effective. We'll be doing that in January and then all throughout the school year. So it's not just a one-shot workshop. Streamline, we've done a much better job of identifying students as they enroll. We have a lot of movement of kids coming in and out of the district, and I just wanted to thank my office buddy, so he's over in the back somewhere, Mr. Kerry Bobbitt, because he's done a lot of work with CalPads and getting us the data that we need to really help the kids. He was just showing me stuff this afternoon that will really help us work with our students and help them achieve. So thank you, Kerry. And then one of the big things about the reclassification criteria that we mentioned was, once again, we kind of did a double-edged sword on that. We want the teachers' opinions on, they're the experts on how their students are performing, but it also helps the teachers as a PD opportunity to understand the ELD standards a little bit better. I think without a doubt the best thing that we've done this year are the people that are standing here with me tonight. Our EL teacher leads, dedication, knowledgeable, just doing so much for our kids. A lot of them are doing this on 2 release periods, so they teach a full 5 classes, and then they're doing all this work on top of it. They've been at the Latino Family Literacy Nights for the last 5 Tuesdays, from 4:30 to 8:30 at night. So really proud of everything that they've done for us. And then Norma does have a full day, but she quickly learned that full day can get a whole bunch of things added on, and there's still just not enough time in the day to do everything that we want to do. Some of the big things that we're working on, we will be updating our English Learner Master Plan, so that highlights a lot of the stuff that we're already doing. We just need to get it on paper and improve some things. We also will be working with teachers on a placement matrix, so making sure that the students are getting the support that they need and they're getting a more focused sequence to get them reclassified sooner. Improving the monitoring and the interventions that they've mentioned. We really want to, working with Carrie's help, identifying the students that need support, how many are showing up to tutoring, and we want to work more closely with Innovative to see how many kids are showing up, calling parents, making sure that they understand the importance of it, and then once again, just continuous training for our teachers on the standards and the frameworks. So we just want to say thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions that
rural areas there's nothing for them. Oh, thank you very, very much.
I just want to say also thank you on behalf of our community and personally. You are doing excellent things. It's great. And it's starting with the premise that 73% of our population is Hispanic. And we are making not only a difference in the lives of the students, you are together, you are making a difference in the status quo of our society here in this community of Paris. I want just to add that the work that you are doing, I want to commend you because it's not easy, but you are very happy, optimistic of reaching those goals, and something really important to keep in mind. And you mentioned that 80% of the parents, of the 73% of our students, they don't have a high school diploma. So supporting the students to achieve that, to get their high school diploma and to go to college is making a big difference. Mr. Tipi, you mentioned something about 80% of the students have D's and F's in government and econ, right? But I really like the SMART goal, the specific, measurable, right, achievable, realistic, and a timely 10%. Right, we agree. We are aware of there is 80%. We identify that area of improvement, and we have the goal. Obviously, we are not expecting to reduce the 80% to zero, right? But 10%, we are really looking forward, and I'm sure that we are going to achieve that goal, and slowly we are going to be reducing that. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. A pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you. I did have a few that pulled a card for this particular agenda number. Forgive me if I get the names wrong. Ramigio Ruiz Jr. Is that correct? Ramigio? Okay. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming, being here, being concerned. I'm actually here also, my name is Remigio, like everybody now. Thing is, it's really cool, all these programs that are happening, for our youth and our elders also. It's really cool because we're being integrated and everybody's learning English and we're learning Spanish also, which is really cool. Suggestion. We had parents that came that are concerned parents, are taxpayers, everything, and they were here and they were a little upset because they didn't know what was going on here. There was no interpreters available. There's no interpreting machines or anything in Spanish. So I'd like to bring that to your attention. And yes, so thank you for listening, and hopefully we get stuff resolved. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. And I have one more. Sorry, I can't read Maria Ayala. I can't read the first name. Luz Maria? Okay.
Because there might be a language barrier.
Okay, not a problem.
Buenas noches, con mucho respeto, yo quiero decirles que tomen en cuenta que esta área de Perris y todas las partes Gemen ha sido de puros campesinos que hemos trabajado de sol a sol para llevar la comida a las mesas de la gente. Entonces, todos, la mayoría, que tomen en cuenta esto, porque mucha gente nace aquí y puede ir a la escuela, pero ellos han estado trabajando con su sudor para llevar la comida a las mesas. Y es bien importante que consideren esto, porque también se ha estado trabajando mucho para enseñarles a leer, escribir, porque ellos nunca fueron a la escuela en esos tiempos. Y la gente que es de aquí, neta, de aquí, de estas áreas, saben, se vino el proyecto de Don Mirigón y del proyecto del agua, perdieron todos sus trabajos y fue muy difícil para que ellos se pudieran tener. O sea que consideren mucho.
Perdón, se esperan un momentito. Were you going to translate? Yes. Okay, why don't you go ahead before you're going to forget 90% of that.
Bueno,
deje que diga algo para que los demás entiendan, si no se va a perder todo. Okay?
Also, awareness. Here, Paris, Hemet area, all this general area has been populated by a lot of farm workers, a lot of people that have worked really hard for what they have and for what's going on. And we would like, le gustaría que...
Entonces, lo que ellos sufrieron mucho. Ellos sufrieron mucho porque los rancheros que eran dueños de esas tierras vendieron la tierra donde ellos trabajaban y ellos se fueron a San Río Colorado a comprar terreno. Y entonces todo su trabajo ellos lo perdieron. Perdieron todo su trabajo y los otros señores ahorita están allá pagándoles, los dueños de los ranchos se fueron a comprar tierras a México y están allá, les pagan bien poquito a la gente. Y ahora, por ejemplo, esta gente, o sea que los campesinos somos los que llevamos la comida a la mesa. Y esta es un área de campesinos y ellos nunca tuvieron, no pudieron ir a la escuela porque tenían que trabajar para llevar la comida a las mesas. Porque cuando el campesino trabaja y le da gracias a Dios porque la comida es para... Pero ellos nunca pudieron ir a la escuela porque mucho tiempo había, pues esos son de áreas de campesinos. Ahora este lugar, ahorita vino todas las casas que vinieron, todo lo que se ve. Pero tenemos mucha gente que no habla, que no habla inglés, ¿verdad? Entonces es bien importante considerar que aquí en Perry se habla el español. Por ejemplo, como se han tratado de hacer muchos programas, por ejemplo el American 2000, y de ir allá con los campesinos a buscarlos, a llevarles ha sido una desesperación muy triste que Perry, siendo una ciudad tan bonita, de tanta historia, y que quieran quitar el idioma español cuando es de origen de campesinos. Y yo les pido así mucho que por favor consideren todo esto, porque también cuando estuvimos trabajando con el proyecto de American 2000 y todo pasó, todo eso, nadie vino a enseñarles a los campesinos a leer.
We're actually out of time for the 3 minutes. Does she have one final comment to make?
Bueno, nada más lo que quiero pedirles que por favor consideren a los campesinos y a la gente que venimos de otras partes y también que consideren que también nosotros estamos trabajando de muchos años aquí y todos los hispanos y no nomás somos multiculturales, porque no nomás es México, es toda América donde se habla español. Y que por favor consideren el idioma de aquí de Perris, porque ese es el orgullo de Perris y de ustedes, que también que consideren, por favor.
Okay.
Gracias.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. Suspension report is the information item. It's there. Action item personnel calendar. Do we have a motion? Second. Okay, I know we had a change.
Yeah, again, there was a problem with the legend, and that's been corrected on the one that you have and the one out there for the public.
This is for both of them?
Right. It's for
Both
2 years.
Did you get this, John? Yeah. Okay. It's got 2 years worth next year and the year after.
What you have before you is the calendar that was voted on by the associations. It was this was done a very collaborative approach with PSEA, CSEA involved in planning the calendar, and we agreed to we brought 2 years of calendars forward, and that was put out to membership. And you can see basically the differences between the two. Draft A is what we have currently now, and Draft B was the basic difference had to do with where the spring break was. What the proposal in Draft B had to do with moving the spring break, keeping the spring break right at the end of March every year, rather than as we have done, where we move it around the Easter holiday, which moves. But it was by overwhelming over 2-1 that Draft A was approved by the associations. We saw that the issue was with the legend, the way it was written. That came to our attention just in the last couple of days. There were some things in there that would be very confusing. Our folks who are here, our employees, they understand it because of they have the background in it. But this is what's published to the public. It goes on our website. Sorry about that. It goes to our website, and we thought this would be a little clearer, so that's why we made the adjustment and bring it to you tonight.
This is the update?
The one that, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions on the calendar for those 2 years? Yes, we'll be approving it as it has been amended. Okay. No questions, comments? Please vote. And now Carolyn comes up as absent. Good. All right. Thank you, Lori. Okay. Action item: First Amendment to Agreement for Law Enforcement Services between County of Riverside and the Paris Union High School District. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Information on this?
Yes, Governing Board. As you know, during the recession, we were not successful in convincing either the City of Paris, the City of Menifee, or Riverside County Board of Supervisors that having school resource officers at schools is not only good for schools but good for communities because of all the intelligence that they gather. So we've had just one deputy, and that deputy has been housed at the academy where we seem to have needed the deputy the longest. What we're asking to do here is to approve a second deputy. Our financial situation's improved. And that deputy would be split between Paloma Valley and Heritage High School with no office, no desk, but walking around, talking and interacting with our students. And the other deputy that's now in Paris is being moved to Paris High School, but will be on call for Paris Lake, the Academy, and Pinacate Middle School. So that our recommendation is for you to approve a second deputy. But again, I want the administrators to hear it loud and clear. I sent out an email today. If this gets approved by the board, I don't want resource officers sitting and looking at cameras in an office. That is not what they're to do. Community-based policing, which police believe in, is about them making contacts and personal interactions with their students. And so obviously it makes everybody feel safer when you have law enforcement on campus. That's a plus. But clearly they're not there to work referrals from the teachers to assistant principals. They're there to interact with the students, and I'm looking forward to it greatly. And so I highly recommend your approval on this.
Okay, any questions, comments? No? Please vote. Okay, thank you.
Board, with your approval tonight, thank you. We think we'll have that second deputy for the beginning of second semester, split between Heritage and Paloma Valley. So thank you.
Okay. Candace, how long do you think this first? Shall we take a break? Okay, I've been asked by my colleagues
So
here.
I would
We'll
say between the interim and the audit report, depending on how many questions you ask or how few.
Why don't we just take a break right now?
10 total.
We'll take a break right now, and then we'll come back for both of those. So we'll take about a 5-10 minute break. Come back about 7:25.
Your granddaughter's phenomenal.
Gotta have that.
Never even pulled the Greenberg card.
Yeah, she better not.
It's like
Okay, if we can start making our way back to the podium so we can go home sometime tonight. Okay, I didn't want to have to do this, but we're going to get started again. Didn't want to have to lay down the law, but we're going to get started again. Dr. Rouse, we do need you up here. Thanks. As much as we want to converse, catch up.
That's what I thought. I understood.
Okay. We do have a motion. We do need a motion for the approval of the 2015-16 first interim financial report.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Ms. Raines, I believe that's your information item.
Actually, an action item. Okay, well, this is our first interim financial report as Mr. Rabing makes his way forward. He's assured me that he will be brief and
no more than 20 minutes. I
no more than 20, 30 minutes, and then 45 minutes for questions.
We're business services.
We could always have Dr. Newman come up. He was just really right to the point. Think you could do the budget, Charles?
Honestly, tried to get Art to fill in for me because he filled in for Hector the last meeting, but he wasn't willing. So what I have for you is the first interim financial report. So I just want to remind you that we're working through the local control funding formula. This has come as a movement in California into a weighted student funding methodology. It began in 2013-14. Originally, they estimated it would take 8 years for full implementation, but right now projected after these first 3 years, we're at about 70% of full implementation already. And one of the most important components of this is that we have this local control accountability plan that is attached to the funds that are coming in. So again, if we're just reminding you that the revenue limit and the categorical funds that were there in 12-13, we've now moved on to a base grant where it's essentially a dollar amount that all the school districts receive, and then it's that supplemental concentration money that is the extra that is focused on specific groups of students, in this case the English learners, the low income, and the foster youth. As we continue to progress through the implementation, what you're identifying is the base grant is continuing to increase as dependent upon our enrollment of the area of students that meet the supplemental concentration numbers. That increases as well, and we're decreasing the gap as we continue to move forward. What you should always know is that this is always a moving target because that small portion of COLA is always being added on top of the total dollar amount, so we're always going to increase until we finally get to a point where we are only receiving COLA as the increase every year. So in our budget, what we had is use some assumptions that were provided for us in the 14-15 year. They finished out at the 30.16% in gap funding. We decreased a little bit, and you'll see that in a second, in our second year in the 15-16, and then if you look on in 16-17, 17-18, our gap funding is there. What I just want to point out is that we have information from two separate sources that we use. We use the California Department of Finance, not Department of Defense this time, and we use the School Services of California, and that information we use to determine where we are predicting. Also, we have COLA, and then we have the STRS and the PERS rates that are provided for us. Again, I want to point out that there's a sharp increase as we're continuing on in the future years with those PERS and STRS rates. So that's something that continues to be included in our budget as a definite impact. The first interim changes I would like to provide for you have the Again, there was a slight change from the 53.8% in the May revise to that 51.52%. So there was a slight decrease. So there was a change from when I originally brought you a budget to now in that gap funding. We have a reduction in the students of 62 district-wide, but that doesn't include the 72 students that have included or added up in the CMI.
May I interrupt and clarify? That's not a reduction from last year. That's actually a reduction from projections. So what I projected, we're lower than that, but we are higher than last year. I meant to tell you that earlier, but that's my fault. No points against Mr.
Thank you. So yes, I apologize. So if to be clear, this is what a comparison of what I brought you in the adopted budget to what is now. So the 62 students is a change from what we brought you in adopted, which we projected a larger number of students showing up on campuses. We have some additional one-time money for the educator effectiveness that's provided, and we also have some E-rate money that came in to us since I brought you the adopted budget. There was also some beginning balance adjustments as we closed the books from prior year. We had a little bit more in the LCAP fund or LCFF fund. The gap increased slightly, so we had some extra money there, and we also have some LCAP money that was carried over to be spent in the current year. I'm going to try and speed up for you. So right now we're in a reasonably good financial state. We were able to provide staff members, raises last year. We made sure that we projected out a reasonable budget in doing that. The only couple things I want to point out in this slide would be looking at the expenditures from adopted budget to the first interim. There was a slight increase that has to do with some of the carryover and things that I mentioned right before. But you would also note that the ending balance doesn't really have much of a change, but there's a significant, not really significant, but there's a monetary change in the net increase or decrease, and that's just because we haven't made plans to reduce with the reduction in revenue that came in. So there's a slight change in the net increase or decrease because as the revenue decreased a little bit, we didn't make any changes to our budget right now. Besides that, we are looking at the isolation of some of that supplemental concentration money or the CTE money. We've identified what we haven't planned to spend yet in the ongoing years. As we continue to plan, we'll be working with moving that into the expenditures. Right now it's just set aside for future planning. So our next steps right now, we are looking for a positive certification as your recommendation. We're looking for the governor's budget to come out in January and give us some information on where we're going to go next. We're going to continue conversations about where we're going to spend this education or effectiveness grant, the mandated cost money, one-time monies that we still have left to spend in the next couple of years, and then also our continued plans for the LCAP as we're developing that to really guide where our expenditures are. And then we'll be bringing you a second interim to review a similar document in March. I'd love to provide any questions if you have any. Answer any? No? All right, guys, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rabing.
Okay, so you applaud them when the budget's better. But where were you guys when in those lean years that we were struggling? I didn't applaud you or Ken.
Because I wasn't here when it was bad. I just got here when it was good.
Well, I think your arrival improved state revenue.
Okay, any questions on the first interim financial report? No? Okay, thank you. Please vote on this. Thank you. Okay, action item approval of the 2014-15 audit report. Do I have a motion? Second. I think Joan won on that one. Okay.
We have
Information
an
on this.
eager auditor here to tell you about the audit report. So he's like a friend of Ray Bean.
I only have 96 pages to go through one by one, so we'll be fine. That's right. Don't go running. This year's report is a very clean report. There's no adjustments to the report, no findings or management letter comments. I think that's so. There's still a plus. So that's a very not too many reports that we issue in that manner. We always have something. We try our best anyway. This year the biggest issue is the implementation of GASB 68. That's a new accounting pronouncement, and it basically recognizes what Chris was talking about with your first interim and the increase in the PERS and STIRS rates. There's a huge unfunded net pension liability for the state of California and the PERS and STIRS pools in the billions of dollars. Paris has a proportionate share for the combined pools of roughly $64 million. That's only 0.25% of the entire pool. So you can imagine just the magnitude of the unfunded liability. So what the state is trying to do with the increases in rates, it's not going to be funded anytime soon. We don't know that yet. However, there is, we need to make progress. I think that's what the intent is. The GASB and subsequent pronouncements that have come out recently is really hitting hard on pension liabilities and financial reporting and the importance of recognizing what those liabilities are. Now, it's important to note that these are government-wide liabilities and not necessarily reflective of the operational effectiveness of the district to meet day-to-day obligations. The only thing that you consider on a day-to-day operational standpoint is the increase in the rate and the budget for those accordingly in future years. Every district's going to have a huge number, and every district's going to show a net statement of net position balance in the negative, virtually every district. And no districts are necessarily saying we're going to set aside funds that I'm aware of to add to our future payments in addition to the regular rates that are being charged. So I think it's a lot like a general obligation bond, general obligations of taxpayers. This pension liability is kind of a general obligation of everybody, and this is your piece. So good report. Big number in there, and we move forward and we'll report continued disclosure on how that pension liability ebbs and flows over the years, in addition to anything else that might come out from the GASB to increase and enhance reporting. Thank you. $64 million.
But don't worry, LA Unified has one that must be about $10 billion.
In the billions.
Yeah, so. Well, part of the answer is they're raising the rates. Everybody in the audience knows. They've seen, we heard a number of our teachers say, hey, we thought we got a big raise. And yeah, but you also are paying more in STIRS, and everybody in the room is going to be paying up to 12%, and the district's going from about 8% from a few years ago to 18%. So the worry that we have as superintendents around the state is right now the economy's good, but when it's not good, the state is the one that approved, the legislature approved these pension programs, and we believe it's their responsibility to not hold us responsible. Otherwise, these LCAP dollars that we're getting that are going to make huge changes in the way we deal with these students that have been neglected over the years. We're not going to be able to do it if we have to continue to pay the increase from the employer's perspective, the pension costs. So I'm on a board of directors statewide group that's been ringing the bell, and right now everybody's ignoring it because the economy improved. But when the economy starts slowing down, which it will at some point, then someone's going to have to pay the bill. And if they end up putting that all on the shoulders of public schools, then we're going to be back to the days where we're reducing programs and things like that just to stay solvent. So you're right. Long term, it's pretty scary in this state.
We have to learn the lessons of the past, I think, with anything. So we've been down that road before.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Joan and Ed, and sometime in the future me, we really like the pension program, and we appreciate all of you working to support that. Thank you very much.
Any questions on the audit? No? Okay. Please
I
vote.
could just
That's
add
right.
one additional minute. There's a lot more people to thank, but there's a lot in the audience. The auditor. I mean, we kind of we know the auditors are coming because they don't leave any stone unturned, which is a good thing. We should have somebody checking up, but. Just looking out in the audience, I mean, they're out bothering Diane Martin with categoricals because they have to test the large federal and some state programs, and Hector in facilities with building additions, and Judy with statements of values, and things with the JPA, and Nick with fixed assets, and Kim with nutrition services, and HR with their practices. So they really look at this the entire district. So I'm really proud that I think since 2008 we haven't had an audit finding if you exclude Choice 2000, which I think it's fair to exclude that in being a proud mama here. So, and then of course all of that is led by Chris, but he already got a lot of applause. So, so anyway, thank you to everyone that's here.
Thank you. Okay, please vote. All right, thank you. Information item, revolving cash report. Still revolving, still has cash. Information item on a new course, Introduction to Computer Science through Project Lead the Way, meets A to G requirements. Information on that. Information item on new course, Computer Science and Software Engineering through Project Lead the Way, also meets A to G requirements. Closed session if necessary.
Not necessary.
Thank you. Okay, other items by the superintendent?
Just one item. We had talked about, with the governing board, about doing another morale survey. We'd done one a few years ago. We implemented some programs to try to improve employee morale. And Tanya Davis, who's the morale queen of the district, it's a title, enjoy it. Tanya, why don't you tell the board, I think it's a great recommendation, and again, it'll have to come back as an agenda item, but you want to tell them your thoughts about that morale survey?
So my thoughts are there are lots of ways to do a morale survey, and I think we bring validity to it when we have an outside organization conduct it. That way our employees can give their input, not worry about the district manipulating the information or the results in any way. And so I am looking at outside organizations that conduct these surveys to gather that for you guys and bring it back to you to consider as a recommendation. That's what I'm looking into. So that I know, and I appreciate that, Joan. I will give you lots of options. I'm going to look at lots of things. I'm going to look at how it's been done successfully in other districts. I don't believe in recreating the wheel when I don't have to. So I'll be contacting some neighboring districts and see what we can find.
And CSBA might have some resources for us, too.
And in some states, the state board does have someone in-house that does that. I don't know if California does, but that was one of the options I was going to look at.
We're going to do it quickly because we know you want to do this in the next few months before we head into the new negotiation season.
It's only fair. We did it once. Let's do it again. I think it's an expectation, when we started this out. So, we'll debate it when we put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that what's really important to remember is when you do a morale survey, you have to be willing to respond to the results. And so I want the board to consider that when I bring it back. It doesn't have a lot of value if we don't intend to respond to any areas of growth that are identified in that survey. And so I just want you to be aware of that. So I'll bring. I think we absolutely did. I think we did. And I just want to remind everybody that I think that's a real important piece. Yes, that was not a good time of year. But so I plan on looking at this as quickly as possible and bringing something back hopefully in January.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other items by the Board of Trustees, Dr. Ross? Not today? Ms. Cooley? No? Mr. Aguindos?
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
I just wanted to say that we went to CSBA last weekend in San Diego and got a chance to go to Baker Nowicki architectural firm, and we saw the plans for the new high school, and they look absolutely amazing, and I just want to say congratulations to them on putting together such an awesome design, and just the rendering of it was very, very, very cool. Okay, motion for adjournment. Please vote. All right, thank you. Everybody have a happy holidays, whichever holiday you oh, that's right. We do have one more meeting. That's right.
Nice. Psych.
I'm sorry. We do have one more meeting.
Oh, lovely. Aha. I get to hold the gavel one more time.
Let me start the meeting first with that. Second. Okay, that's it.
I've been waiting for this moment.
The new meeting is up if you want to join. Dr. Okay, here we go. Call to order.
Okay, I call the meeting to order of the Paris Valley Schools Capital Facilities Corporation Board meeting to order at 7:48. I'm waiting for my next. And now we have an invitation to address the Board of Directors of the, what I just said, Capital. All right. Board of Directors of the Capital Facilities Corporation. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? What a surprise. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. I love hitting this gavel. This is great. Okay, we have to elect a chairperson for this. Mr. Nelson has served as our president previous, so I call for a nomination for president of... No? Chairman. Excuse me. Chairman of the Bears Valley Schools Capital Facilities Corporation. You can now make it.
I nominate David Nillison.
And I second. They can't get out.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I didn't even have to do that. Is that okay? It was just such old school. It felt good.
You can vote.
Okay.
Joan, you can vote.
You can vote now, too. It's going to be approved, watch. Karnak.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I know. I need nominations for the election of this office of Secretary and Treasurer.
Who's that?
Yeah, this was you last year. That was last year. Do I have a motion? Do I have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Erica.
Okay. Second over there. Okay. Any other nominations? None. So please vote.
We have to call you chairman now.
How's it done? Okay. This action items are approving the minutes of the Paris Valley Schools Capital Facilities Corporation annual meeting from December 10th of 2014. Do I have a motion? Don't all jump in there at once.
I second it.
Thank you. Okay. It's to approve the minutes from last year. Any questions? No? Please vote. Okay. Action item, the authorization of necessary filings and reports for the Paris Valley Schools Capital Facilities Corporation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I had Ed first and then Dr.
Second.
Rouse. Okay, any questions? No, please vote. Action item, Paris Valley Schools Capital Facilities Corporation authorization for the 2015-16 audit. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any questions? Please vote. Thank you. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
That one was quick. Do I? All right, please vote. All right. We are adjourned at 7:52, and I forgot to mention we were adjourned at 7:47 with the previous one. Forgot to mention that. All right, we are adjourned.